changing room as well. You know,
well, even at 2-2, a normal team would have said, we'll take this after everything that's happened.
Down to 10.
Down to 10 men, you know, VAR decisions, dubious. And the goalkeeper was such a fantastic pass to Raheem Sterling, who switched wings, and he's gone through and scored the winner. Incredible.
Any other goalkeeper would have held onto the ball there at 2-2, last minute, getting into injury time, thinking happy days. But no, the mentality of the club, and it comes from the top, from the manager straight into the players, is they want to win that game. You know, and I keep banging on about it. People say about the pretty football they play, but they're made of tougher stuff. Yeah. You know, and one of the things last season when they were breaking all sorts of records, Kev, was they weren't talking about what trophy they're going to win 3 weeks, 3 months down the line. They keep talking about the next game, you know, and they've done that over the last week with the cup game at the weekend, and then Schalke, and obviously the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. They don't look any further than the game, and they want to win that game.
They won't be allowed to. I'm sure Pep Guardiola won't allow them to think too far ahead. You know, the next game is key, but he's got such a fantastically strong squad that he can move and shake. There's players who played at the weekend who didn't even change today.
Did they manage that game within the game? Because when you were watching it unfold, there was a spell where they didn't seem to be their imperious best. Did they dig themselves out of that during the game itself?
Yeah, but that's what the best teams do. The most successful teams do. You know, I think they got a little bit frustrated with the referee, I think, especially with the first VAR decision and the amount of time it took for him to make the decision. I didn't think it was a penalty, the first one. How he came to that decision, I don't know, because it seemed to take him about 3 hours to make that decision. And I think, you know, the people like David Silva, who's normally so calm and such an influence in the team, you could see him sort of losing his rag a little bit as well. But going into the second half, you know, they settled down a little bit and started playing their football, and they believe it's a matter of time whether they're playing well or not. I think sometimes, because of the quality that's in there, and they keep going to the end.
Paul, do you think the Otamendi sending off probably changed the mentality a bit?
Yeah, but
because
even that doesn't happen if the referee makes the right decision for the first penalty.
Very true. I don't even think that was a yellow card, the second yellow card, but I think that changed the momentum because Pep Guardiola had to shift things around. He had to bring Vincent Kompany on, and they looked a lot more settled after that.
What does it do for you? I mean, you're already a very, very good team. You're on Liverpool's shoulder right now. Well, in fact, you're above them. What does it do, that type of result? What does it give you in terms of belief?
It galvanises the dressing room, that's for sure. You know, when you win tight games, Champions League, which is potentially a banana skin, let's be honest, going away in Europe, and you dig it out and win with 10 men, that galvanises the whole dressing room. It'll be like they've won 2 games. Honestly, they will now have that momentum to go on and say, right, bring on Chelsea at the weekend, because I wouldn't like to be Chelsea against that team at the weekend.
Had they lost tonight, do you think some of those questions, although, you know, when it was 2-1, you said to us, this is still a good result. They've turned this around the Etihad, but had they lost tonight, do you think the questions would have resurfaced ahead of Sunday, inevitably, about the blip earlier in the season?
I think, of course, they would have. It's a natural thing, you know, but my answer to that is that when they lost the back-to-back games against Palace and Leicester, huge questions were getting asked, but they went and won 8 games in a bounce. You know, and that's a sign of champions, I think. And then when they lost to Newcastle, what was it, only 3 weeks ago? People were talking the league was over, they're 7 points behind. Now they're into this weekend, probably going to the quarter-finals of the Champions League, in a cup final, in top of the league.
You're an ambassador for the club, you're in and around the place all the time. What was it like when they were going through that blip? And was there almost a degree, as there was outside the club, a degree of bewilderment as to how could such a good team suddenly go...
A little bit, but if you isolate the back-to-back defeats, City actually should have won both games. You know, if they took their chances, especially in the Crystal Palace game, the Leicester game in the first half. But they didn't, and when you're not taking chances and you play the attacking football that City do, you are leaving yourself a little bit open sometimes. But yeah, there was a little bit of bewilderment, but there was still... It's hard to explain that there's a real belief within the club that even when things aren't going well, that they can turn it around, and that comes from the manager.
It's kind of if we do what we know we can do, we'll win. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because we're good, and we know we're good, and we're not good because we're lucky. We're good because we work hard.
They do, and you know, yeah. Again, you look at the football they play. The players have got. They're one of the hardest working teams in the Premier League. How they press in the front, all over the pitch. You know, we talk about Bernardo Silva's probably been their best player consistently this season. Nobody works harder than him.
He's surprised quite a few, Bernardo Silva. And when you go throughout a season, there's a few check boxes you have to tick. And in adversity, you have to check the check box. And they checked one tonight. They checked one bouncing back, winning 8 games on the spin from 2 defeats. When people are questioning them, they seem to deliver. And Pep Guardiola's got something special going at Man City, for sure.
Very quickly on VAR. It is new technology. It is coming in. We understand the monitor didn't work at the side of the pitch tonight. That's why he couldn't go and have a look at it, and that's why it took it so long. Do we have... I mean, I can see you smiling because City got the right result.
In the end.
Have we got to be...
a bigger opinion of
have we got to be more forgiving, or actually, is this a real problem? Is that... I mean, 3 minutes, that first decision.
It shouldn't take that long, and you could see the frustration from both sets of players. You know, surely if the screen's broke or wasn't working, whatever it is, surely there's somebody in his ear that can tell him a lot quicker than taking 3 minutes. You know, and when we were sitting watching it, the longer it was going on, initially we thought he's not going to give a penalty for that, but the longer it went on, you knew that there was something there, and he was going to give it.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But the technology we've got now, that should be done quicker. I mean, you look at how Rugby League do it, and I know I'll keep harping back to it, they make a decision like that, and it's done. Nobody argues and they get on with it.
Well, the other thing is, as well, is the referee did not make that decision for the penalty. That was made by somebody else, not the man on the pitch, and he wasn't given he wasn't able to look at it. Now, you both said not a penalty. Tries to get his arm out of the way. Do you think if the ref had another look at that, he might have agreed with you?
Well, he's looking at it anyway, in real time. So
Never give it.
And he's gave the corner. So I think if he had the chance to see it, because that was his decision initially, I don't think he would have gave it. Look, if Otamendi's arm's hanging out there, then fair enough. But he's actually trying to get out the way of it. Yes, it's hit his arm.
I think somebody pulled the plug on that screen.
Yeah, it's a Schalke manager on the side.
Now, Kevin mentioned it. Of course, they face Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. In many ways, they're not just the overwhelming favourites, but because of the recent 6-0 demolition, many Chelsea fans are fearing not if they'll get beaten, by how many. Is that disrespectful, and is it also really overlooking the fact that Chelsea were the first side to beat City this season?
Yeah, I think it's a bit disrespectful to Chelsea. Chelsea are still a top side, let's have it right. But they're just going through a bit of a sticky patch right now where the identity of the team isn't quite set like it was earlier on in the season. You know, the game earlier on in the season was a good game to see how City could handle Chelsea. If City would have taken their chances, City would have been out of sight, but they didn't. Chelsea hang on in there, got their noses in front, and ended up winning the game 2-0, you know, to a rapturous Stamford Bridge. But now, it's like the tables have turned a little bit more. Manchester City are playing well, they're doing all the check boxes and looking all the part, having beaten Chelsea 6-0 a couple of weeks ago. So Chelsea have it all to do. Chelsea are the team that have to adjust to Manchester City.
Have you got in Pep Guardiola the perfect manager for this scenario, in that he will not allow complacency, he won't allow previous results to mean anything whatsoever? Or will he be saying, listen, we got done by them, 2-0. We might have been 6-0, but we got done, 2-0. It's going to happen in a final.
He'll keep them on their toes, because that's what he does for every single game. I just feel that, especially on Sunday and after tonight's result, momentum and confidence with City's up there. And Chelsea recently obviously getting beat 6 and then getting put out of the cup against Manchester United the other night there. They look sort of dead on their knees. And watching Chelsea this season, I get a feeling that if they don't score first and get their noses in front, that they struggle as soon as they go behind, and they've done it at the Etihad. I know City were phenomenal that day, but as soon as it went 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 at half-time, at half-time I'm thinking, come on, you're looking at your Hazards and your Pedros and Higuain, world-class players.
Kante.
I'm thinking, go and have a bit of pride in the second half and go and have a goal, but it looks as if they were settling for 4-5, so it was damage limitation.
Well, I think they started the game on the front foot. They started looking to press. But what Manchester City could do, they could beat the press, and they beat the press and got the first goal, and then you go, whoa. Then you try it again, and they keep picking you off. Aguero misses a sitter, and then puts one in the top corner. So, you know, this Manchester City got quality everywhere.
It was a huge moment in that game, and it's not really been spoken about when Ederson makes the save at 2-0, because Chelsea were beginning to get back in the game and causing Manchester City a few problems. And, you know, in the space of a couple of minutes, talk about defining moments and big moments in games, Ederson's made a great save.
They got the other end.
They're 3-0 down, and it knocked the stuffing out of Chelsea in the day.
Well, that result, that scoreline, is one of many reasons that there's been so much speculation regarding Maurizio Sarri's future. He had his say on it today.
I have to think that I will be the manager of Chelsea for a long time, otherwise I cannot work. I have to think this, of course, because I have to work and I want to work with a long-run target. Of course, in this moment it's very difficult to think that we are able to win 3-4 matches in a row. But as you know very well, in football everything can change in one day.